Hey, I wanted to give you a quick devotional just to encourage you because we are living in a time that is very uncertain. We don't know what's coming next, but we do know that our God has got this. And I was reading in 1 Samuel, it's an Old Testament book that's about the prophet Samuel who anoints a guy named Saul to be king. And David, who has not yet become king, it's really his story as well. And so the famous story of David and Goliath happens in 1 Samuel. David becomes very famous, and Saul, the king, gets really jealous of him, so much so that he tries to take David's life. And David has to leave his home. He goes out in the wilderness, and he's like moving from cave to cave with a group of men who have kind of gathered around him. And Saul is trying to find him and kill him several times. David could have taken Saul's life to get revenge on him, but he chooses not to do it because he doesn't want to do something that God doesn't tell him to do. And so he has gone so low, he's sunk so low that he actually goes to the Philistines, which Goliath was a Philistine, and he asks the Philistines if he can live there and just do raids and make war on other groups so that he can, have enough to live. And so that's how low he's sunk. And they go off on a raid, and the Philistines who know him feel uncomfortable with David and the Israelites fighting against the Israelites. And so basically the Philistines tell him to leave. And David and his men go back in 1 Samuel chapter 30. And they find that the little area where they are called Ziklag, it has been raided by another group. And their women and children have been taken away, and their place has been burned to the ground. And so I want you to think about this because I think it's relevant for our time. Here's David. He is without a home. He's without his wife and children. He's led these men, and all of a sudden they come back. They have nothing left. He can't go home because the king is wanting to kill him. He is at this low point in his life, and this is what it says in 1 Samuel 30, the very first couple verses, and I encourage you to check this out. It says, when David and his men came to Ziklag, the Amalekites had made a raid against the Negeb and against Ziklag. And I'm going to paraphrase. They had burned down the town. They had taken captive all the women and children. And it says, when David and his men came to the city, they found it burned with fire, and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep. And then after this, it says David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him because all the people were bitter in soul. These people are so mad, these men are so mad at David because he hasn't led them in the way he hasn't led them to have a solution or a result that they wanted, that they're ready to kill him. And then it says, it's very important, it says, but David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. He strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And right after this, he doesn't go to beg for forgiveness necessarily, although he's going to make it right. You can read on and find out what happens in the rest of 1 Samuel 30 and then on through that book and into the next book. But it's the moment when David strengthens himself in the Lord his God, when he cries out to God. He doesn't look for the approval of people. He doesn't even look for the circumstances to be immediately taken care of, although he does, in fact, he acts to make it better. My point is this. David was at the lowest point of his life, and he did not try to go please people. He did not try to figure things out and how to make it right away. He went first to find strength from the Lord his God. And brothers and sisters, I hope that that's what you are doing during this time. You have a lot more time than you did on your hands where you're not in meetings and you're not traveling. My hope is that you are going to the Word of God, that you are going to God in prayer, that you are finding your strength in the Lord your God. I think that's the most important thing that as Christians we can do so that we can then in turn strengthen the people around us. So that's my word for you today. I hope it helps, and I love you. I look forward to you will see me on Sunday when we do the live stream, and hopefully someday soon I will see you as well. Thanks.